Hey there, welcome into the show. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. Chase Sr. here with you. And as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. We're on the road here this week, seeing some family for Christmas going into New Year's, but the coverage doesn't stop. Niners Seahawks preview, week 18. Massive matchup, a lot on the line. That's what we're doing on today's show. Happy New Year's Eve to everybody. Of course, if you're watching this after New Year's Eve, let's say on Thursday, January 1st. Happy 2026 to everybody. Really appreciate all of your support, and thank you so much for watching the show. And I do want to begin here, Niners-Seahawks. One of the best rivalries in all of sports, not just the NFL. And even though the Niners have owned this rivalry over the last couple of years, it is still hostile between San Francisco and Seattle. So if you hate the Seahawks, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. What a game we have to preview on today's episode. Kickoff set Saturday night, short week of rest for the Niners and the Seahawks, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific at Levi Stadium, the site of Super Bowl 60. Will the Niners or the Seahawks play there at the start of February? We'll certainly see. And this betting line, for those of you who are interested in the betting component of this game, has gone back and forth over the last couple of days. The Niners were 1.5 point favorites. Some books, I think, had the Niners up to 2-point favorites, but now the Niners 1-point underdogs in this NFC West heavyweight bout. The over-under for this game at 48. We are going to continue to monitor the weather going into this game. There is rain in the forecast on Saturday. Now, the rain as of right now, supposed to hit in the morning and at night. Kickoff, 5 p.m. Eastern. The rain is supposed to stop pretty much as this game is going on. But of course, as I'm recording this on New Year's Eve, this can change very, very quickly, and it's very unpredictable, especially in a region like the Bay Area. So there's a chance rain could play a role in this game. It might rain a little bit later in the game. We'll certainly see high as 60 degrees, though, a low of 54. So at least the temperature isn't all that bad. What's at stake in this ball game? A lot. If the Niners win, they get the number 1 seed, home field advantage, first round bye, and they win another NFC West title. They would go from worst in the division last year to first this year. And the Niners were one of the teams that I liked across the NFL, in addition to the Bears and the Patriots, who could go from last place in the division to first place. Worst to first teams. Niners have an opportunity, obviously, to make me look smart and accomplish that here on Saturday night. If the Niners do lose, they will drop to the 6 seed. Rams would move up to the 5 seed. Seattle would get the 1 seed, and San Francisco would travel to play either the Eagles in Philadelphia in the wild card round or a rematch against the Bears in Chicago in the wild card round as well. If they can get that number 1 seed, obviously it gives Fred Warner additional time to get healthy. Trent Williams, George Kittle, Ricky Pearsall, and others. That's also a sneaky big storyline in this game. Niners and Seahawks duking it out in week 1 of the 2025 season. How much has changed since then? A lot. Nick Bosa and Fred Warner played in that game. Jake Moody was the Niners kicker. Brock Purdy was healthy. He got hurt in that game, came back in week 4, but he missed 8 games this season. And this Niners team, much different now on offense now compared to then. And this defense really trying to survive by the skin of their teeth. But that was a great win to start what has been a very special and memorable season for San Francisco here in 2025. Niners went on the road, hostile, raucous environment, and beat the Seahawks to kick off the 2025 campaign. Niners winning that game 17-13. The Niners defense forced a 3-and-out on the initial drive of the game. Then the offense got the ball back deep in their own territory and embarked on a 14-play, 95-yard drive on a 3rd down. Brock Purdy able to hit George Kittle on an out route for a touchdown. Kittle got hurt in that game. Then we didn't see him for over a month after that. I told you, a lot has changed since then, and a lot has happened. The Niners then did not score on offense from that first drive all the way until the 4th quarter. They scored 10 points in the 4th, a Jake Moody field goal, which sounds hilarious right now, and then Brock Purdy What a beautiful game-winning drive against that Seahawks upper echelon defense. 7 plays, 68 yards. Purdy on that drive, a perfect 5 for 5. And the play that he made to escape pressure, roll to his right, throw it up to Jake Tunchess, big time, kind of shades of Joe Montana to Dwight Clark, not quite that epic, but you saw some similar shades of those two iconic plays in Niners franchise history. Obviously, one play more iconic than the other. But then after the Niners went on that go-ahead drive, the Seahawks responded and they marched down the field. They were threatening to score. And then Nick Bosa able to push the offensive tackle into the lap of Sam Darnold, strip sack, recovered by the Niners, ball game, and San Francisco won in thrilling fashion. How the Seahawks stack up on both sides of the football. This is a really good and balanced team. And I really like Seattle going into 2025 because of the makeup of their roster, the acquisition of Sam Darnold. Mike McDonald's a really good coach. I like the hiring of Kubiak to be the offensive coordinator because their offensive coordinator last year, Ryan Grubb, was not good. I believe it was Ryan Grubb. And I just like the makeup of this Seattle team. I thought they got back to their roots under John Schneider, one of the more underrated GMs in the NFL, of being a physical football team that can manhandle you. And so overall, long body of work this year, the Seahawks averaging 29.4 points per game. That's number 2 in the NFL. They're 8th in yards per game, number 1 in points per play, 5th in yards per play, 15th, though, on third downs, 8th in the red zone, 8th on fourth downs, 19th in the red zone, and they score 3.1 on average touchdowns per game. That's 7th in the NFL. So really sound offensive numbers there. But we'll talk about this offense coming up here in a moment because it's a little bit misleading and deceiving. On defense, this defense is no joke. Really at all 3 levels, they're extremely well coached. They have some really good athletes. They play physical and violent. Second best scoring defense in the NFL, surrendering only 18.1 points per game, 5th in yards per play, 1st in points per play. So analytical darlings here. 2nd in yards per play. Number 1 third down defense in the NFL at 32.4% for the conversion rate. 13th on fourth downs, number 7 in the red zone. And they're only giving up on average 1.9 touchdowns per game. That's number 2 in the NFL. Seattle's rush defense, maybe the best in the league. Opponents rush it 39.69%. That's 4th in the league. But Seattle is giving up 3.7 yards per carry. Number 1 among the 32 teams in the National Football League. And they are 3rd in rushing yards per game at 94.1. We know what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. Establish the run, find success on the ground. That's been a huge reason during this long Niners winning streak, as they've been arguably the hottest team in the NFL, winners of 6 straight, that with a balanced offense that can run it, that's led to Brock Purdy, who's playing better than any quarterback in the NFL right now, finding a lot of success through the air. And that's why the Niners are pretty much scoring on every drive at this point. So that's going to be a big matchup in this game. What makes Mike McDonald's Seahawks defense so good? Kyle Shanahan said this yesterday, and I totally agree. He also cut his teeth with Baltimore under Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. This guy's legit. And Shanahan said this about McDonald. He knows how to stop the run and not give up any big plays with the 2-shell defense. And that's traditionally an alignment, Shanahan alluded to, that limits explosive plays. Now, I was talking about the Seahawks offense, right? And how to the ear, to the eye, the numbers sound and look good, right? But Sam Darnold in his last 8 games over the last 2 months hasn't been the same Sam Darnold that we saw earlier in the year. 9 touchdowns, 9 picks, 220 yards per game, 29th among 33 quarterbacks in Pro Football Focus overall grade. He's 23rd in adjusted EPA per play. Yet Seattle, because of the defense, 7-1 during that stretch. But since week 10, Seattle's offensive rankings, total EPA per play, 21st. Passing EPA per play, 23rd. Rushing EPA per play, 10th. So they've been a good running team, but total EPA per play, explosive plays, passing it, they've been kind of in that bottom third among all teams, and they've been a little bit pedestrian over the last couple of months. But going back to the Seahawks defense, probably the best defense that the Niners will go up against since the Houston defense when Mac Jones was still starting. And the Niners went into Houston. They got their asses kicked. Now, I do think Houston is the best defense in the NFL, but the Niners haven't had a true test with their offense, hottest in the league, going up against a defense like this since the Houston game, and Brock Purdy didn't play in that game. Overall EPA per play for the Seahawks defense, number 1. Passing EPA per play, number 4. Rushing EPA per play, number 1. That's expected points added for those of you not familiar. It's pretty much like, I've talked about this for years, WAR in baseball, right? So big test for Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan, and this offense. Can they be as explosive, as efficient, and as consistent as they've been? Because look at where the Niners are now on both sides of the pill. Points per game, 8th at 27.1. 7th in yards per game. 10th in points per play. 11th in yards per play. Number 1 third down offense in the NFL. Going up against the number 1 third down defense in the NFL. So another fantastic matchup here. They are 7th on 4th downs. Brock Purdy, what a great quarterback sneaker. And in the red zone, the Niners up to 66.15%, meaning when they get in the red area, they're scoring touchdowns 66% of the time. On defense, 13th in points per game. It's a miracle with all these injuries. 19th in yards per game. That's fine. Give up yards, don't give up points. 16th in points per play. 24th in yards per play. So Niners defense getting leaky, giving up explosives. 15th on third downs, 20th on fourth downs, 15th in the red zone. Not bad. Niners offense averaging 3.1 touchdowns per game. That's 7th in the league. Defense giving up 2.7, 20th in the league. Niners injury news, very paramount going into this game. George Kittle back at practice last night as a limited participant. Kyle Shanahan said Trent Williams has a chance to play against the Seahawks on Saturday. He did say the same thing about Kittle and Ricky Pearsall in consecutive weeks. They both didn't play in their respective games. So short week, older player, big guy. You need Trent Williams to have a sustained playoff run. I might be surprised if he plays. Renardo Green, though, did return to practice. He has missed the last 2 games with a neck injury, which has kind of been lingering for him. Darrell Luter Jr. has started the last 2 games. He's done some decent things filling in. Christian McCaffrey's back issue, not a big deal, according to McCaffrey himself and Kyle Shanahan. And the Niners this week practicing at night this week, since the game against Seattle is at night at Levi Stadium in San Francisco. Going to be debuting their black saloon font jerseys as they try to lock up that number 1 seed. Seahawks injury news. Rashid Shaheed, who had that return, which sparked the Seahawks comeback against the Rams on Thursday night a couple of weeks ago when Seattle was down 30-14, suffered a concussion last week. He is an electric punt returner and a good wide receiver alongside Jackson Smith and Jigba. Appeared on Monday to be off to a good start recovering from concussion in concussion protocol. Charles Cross, Kobe Bryant, offensive tackle, cornerback dealing with injuries, hamstring for Cross, Kobe Bryant knee, and those are 2 really important pieces to what the Seahawks like to do. So with that, we're only getting started with our preview. Don't go anywhere. Who you got in this football game? Type SEA for Seattle, SF for the Niners. Let me know down in the comment section right now. Coming up next, my keys to the game, top matchups to watch, what the Niners must do to win this football game. But first, we got to get to our sponsor. San Francisco 49ers Report is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard, of course. But in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops, baby. And Prize Picks lets you take control. New feature alert. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your player gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out of those winnings before the game even finishes. Find your community on Prize Picks. With the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. How fun and interactive is that? Copy lineups you like or use them as an inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow Prize Picks partners like us and tail or fade our picks with just one click. I'll tell you what, producer Chip's been on a heater, and obviously we combine for our selections. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right. Keys to the game, top matchups to watch, what the Niners must do to beat Seattle, get the number one seed and home field advantage, and then they wouldn't have to travel if they keep advancing to Super Bowl 60 at Levi Stadium. Niners run game has been extremely efficient as of late. Can that continue? And I alluded to this earlier, but when this Niners run game is clicking like it is, and it's a big credit to this offensive line for opening up running lanes for Christian McCaffrey, Brian Robinson. Brock Purdy has also given San Francisco a nice little jolt in the run game. It opens up the pass game, and that's led to Brock Purdy playing the best football of his career, and I think he's playing better than any quarterback in the National Football League. And so the run scheme, the run design, and the run execution, so great under Kyle Shanahan historically and over the last few games. It's helped this offense hit another gear. But the Seahawks defense is also arguably the best defense against the run. So that is going to be a phenomenal matchup. Who wins it? If the Niners can find success on the ground, they can control the clock, eat clock. That opens up the pass game. They can hit some of those explosive plays, which sometimes are very hard given Mike McDonald plays that two shell to limit explosive plays. The Niners can win this football game, or at least that can go a long way in San Francisco coming out victorious. If Trent Williams can't go at left tackle, how does Austin Pleasance hold up against this Seahawks defense? This Seahawks defense, so much better as a collective unit at all three levels and coaching-wise compared to Chicago. Chicago last week on Sunday Night Football couldn't stop a nosebleed if they tried. They were awful. The Niners pretty much scored on every single drive of the football game. And in back-to-back games, San Francisco had 5 red zone trips, and they scored 5 touchdowns. That's 5 straight trips to the red zone that led to the Niners dropping 35 points. But this Bears defense, they're opportunistic. They generate a lot of turnovers, but they give up so many big plays. And they got gashed by the Niners on the ground, through the air. Christian McCaffrey over 100 yards. Brock Purdy threw for over 300 yards. That's going to be really hard to do against this Seahawks defense, given better personnel compared to Chicago and a better coach in Mike McDonald over Dennis Allen. The one thing that the Bears do, they're opportunistic. They take the ball away, but the Niners played a clean game outside of the pick 6 on the first play from scrimmage. So Austin Pleasance played well against Chicago, but the Bears all year long haven't been able to generate a pass rush, and it's impossible to win a Super Bowl if you can't do that. And so this Seahawks team conversely can generate a pass rush, and it's just better talent going up against Austin Pleasance. Can he play against Seattle like he did against Chicago? Let's keep our fingers crossed and hope so. Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan going to be tested going up against Mike McDonald. And I know that the Niners early last year beat the Seahawks in that huge Thursday night game at the time before the Niners collapsed at the end of the year. I know San Francisco with the healthy Purdy and Kyle Shanahan went into Seattle and won week 1. But I would say this Niners offense is definitely better from week 1. This Seahawks team is also better in all 3 phases since week 1. And this Niners offense has been on such an unreal offensive heater that is really hard to sustain, especially against an elite defense like this. If the Niners go out there and play like they did against Chicago, against Indy, and against Tennessee, and even against Cleveland, I will be blown away and so impressed because this Seahawks defense is one of the best in the NFL. A big question here. Which Sam Darnold is going to show up? Is it going to be big game Sammy, who pissed down his leg and shit the bed last year in week 18 against Detroit, and then in the playoffs against the Rams, where he was dreadful and awful? Is it going to be the Sam Darnold for the first 3 quarters of that Rams game at home a couple of weeks ago when the Seahawks and Rams were locked in that epic game in which Seattle came back from that 30-14 lead? Or is it going to be the big game Sam Darnold, who actually showed up in the fourth quarter and helped to mount and stage that phenomenal comeback for the Seahawks? There's really no telling. Now, what I'd like to see Robert Saleh do, given Darnold's history in playing a little bit tight and struggling in big games, mix and match your looks. Be exotic, be creative, be aggressive. Do things like you did against the Bears on that final play of the game, where you loaded the box, you showed blitz, and then you only sent 2 pass rushers. You dropped everybody else back. You had a quarterback spy. You clogged up the middle of the field. You took away all the crossers. And even Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams were confused by that play. You do that and those types of things to Sam Darnold, where you show blitz, you back off. He might think that he has a clean read. He pulls a trigger, makes that throw. He can get intercepted. You might sometimes, when a guy is in motion, trail that receiver, if it's Jackson Smith and Jigba, and show the offense that you're playing man, but then you drop back in zone. That happened to Sam Darnold against the Rams, where he thought he was getting a man look. It was zone, and he threw an interception. There are things that you can do to manipulate your coverages to put Sam Darnold in a pinch. The Seahawks of late, much better running team than passing team. This Niners defense really up and down as far as their success against the run. Against the Colts, great. Shut down Jonathan Taylor. He had less than 50 yards rushing. Against the Bears, he gave up more than 100. Against the Browns, he gave up more than 100. You were good against the run against Carolina, and you were pretty damn good against Arizona. All these games coming to mind during this winning streak. But the Seahawks are going to try to tap into that run game. Can the Niners hold up with their running defense? Can the Niners generate a pass rush? If you do, Sam Darnold is prone to turning the football over. Big matchup in this game. Deommodore Lenoir against Jackson Smith and Jigba. 113 catches this year, 1,709 yards, 10 touchdowns. And Demo said the other day, I want to trail JSN. I want that. That's my assignment. If you talk that big game, you better rise to the occasion. I know Lenoir has gotten up for these big assignments and these big games, and he's had success against Seattle. I mean, shoot, the guy shut down DK Metcalf, and DK is swole and a lot more physical and bigger than Demo. Demo, they call him the hyena for a reason. He's very aggressive. He plays with tenacity and swagger. But Jackson Smith and Jigba is a different type of player. He's slippery. He can line up inside, outside. Kubiak will put him in the backfield and get creative with his usage. I can't wait to see that matchup one-on-one. Get your popcorn ready. Can the Niners offense continue to generate as many explosive plays? This Seahawks defense, with that too high shell, they trot out that scheme and defense because they don't want to give up big plays. And so Brock Purdy, who is known to be a gunslinger and at times can be aggressive, he's going to have to continue to play like he has played. Of course, throw with great touch, timing, accuracy, and anticipation. And be that surgeon that you are. Of course, no risk it, no biscuit. But sometimes I hope that Purdy does this. Take what the defense gives him, knowing that this is a game between two teams that know each other very well, have great familiarity. This game could be decided by a turnover, and Purdy can't make that turnover. Leave it up to Sam Darnold to do that. So I want everybody right now to predict the score. Seahawks Niners does not get any better than this. Week 18, number 1 seed, home field advantage, the NFC West title on the line. Here's my prediction. I'm going Niners. I think San Francisco wins this game 26-21. I just think that the Niners have something special going right now. I think the defense plays a really good game, and the Niners offense, it's not sustainable to score in the high 30s, 40s, nearly 50 points every single week, especially against an upper echelon, high caliber defense like the Seahawks have. But I think 26 can be enough. Can the defense do enough? That's the big thing going into this game. But I like the Niners to win by 5. And as I'm recording this, San Francisco wins as underdogs. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. More coverage to come all throughout the week. Have a great New Year's Eve. Happy New Year, everybody. And I'll see you next year. Yeah, I'm sorry. Had to give you that joke. See ya.